All right, let's talk about something that sounds like science fiction. We're going to dive into the story of a fish that can pretty much just stop time. I mean, it can survive out of water with zero food for years. It's a total masterclass in survival. And how it pulls this off is, well, it's just wild. So that's the big question, right? How in the world can a fish live for years without water? It just sounds impossible. You know, the whole fish out of water saying exists for a reason. It's supposed to be a death sentence. But the incredible creature at the center of our story today, the African lungfish, well, it completely shatters that rule. So meet our hero. This is the African lungfish. And when I say it's a survivor, I mean it. This species is an ancient one, been around for something like 390 million years. They are true living fossils. They literally watch the dinosaurs come and go. And they live in places where seasonal droughts are just a fact of life, turning rivers into baked mud for months at a time. To get through these brutal droughts, the lungfish has this amazing superpower called estivation. You can think of it like hibernation, for bears in the winter, but this is for heat and drought instead of cold. It's basically a state of suspended animation, no food, no water, that can last for months or, in some crazy lab cases, even up to 7 years. So how does it work? The whole process happens in 3 main phases. It kicks off with induction. As the water starts to disappear, the fish burrows down into the mud and, get this, it makes its own protective cocoon out of a thick mucus. Then comes maintenance, where its entire system just slows to a crawl. Its metabolism practically stops, conserving every single drop of energy. And finally, when the rains return, it hits the arousal phase, waking up from its long sleep to swim and eat again. Okay. So here's where it gets really interesting. This whole survival thing, it's not just a one-size-fits-all strategy. The lungfish's game plan has to change, and change dramatically. And it all hinges on one single crucial decision, where it decides to take its long nap. And this right here perfectly illustrates the dilemma it faces. See, the lungfish can estivate in a cocoon that's exposed to the air. That means it has plenty of oxygen, a condition we call normoxia. Or it can be buried deep down in thick, wet mud, where oxygen is super scarce. That's called hypoxia. We're talking 2 completely different environments that demand 2 completely different survival playbooks. Now, no matter where it's sleeping, every single one of these lungfish has to deal with the same internal nightmare: ammonia. When you're not eating, your body breaks down its own tissues for energy, and a byproduct of that is ammonia. Now, a normal fish just pees it out into the water. Easy. But when you're sealed inside a cocoon, that ammonia has nowhere to go, and it is seriously toxic stuff. So, how does it solve this toxic problem? Well, this is the genius part. The lungfish has come up with 2 totally different metabolic plans. We can think of them as the spender versus the saver. Let's meet this spender first. This is the lungfish that's estavating out in the open air, where there's lots of oxygen. And oxygen is the key ingredient for making cellular energy, or ATP. With all that energy available, the fish can actually afford to run a very expensive detox process. It takes that toxic ammonia and converts it into a much safer chemical called urea. And the numbers here are pretty striking. To deal with its ammonia problem, the spender lungfish cranks up its urea production by a staggering 240%. It's actively burning through a ton of energy to pay off that toxic debt. Meanwhile, its overall waste production only goes down by about 12%. So it's basically just working overtime to keep itself clean. But now, let's look at the saver. This is the lungfish buried deep in that low-oxygen mud. Without much oxygen, it just can't make a lot of energy. That super expensive process of making urea, that's a luxury it absolutely cannot afford. It has to save every last bit of fuel just to stay alive. And the saver's budget looks totally different. Its urea production rate, it barely changes at all. Instead of spending energy to clean up the mess, it attacks the problem at the source. It just radically slashes its overall nitrogen waste production by 58%. It's not paying off the debt. It's stopping the debt from building up in the first place. So here's the key takeaway. The fish's entire strategy is dictated by its energy budget. And that budget is set by how much oxygen it has. Lots of oxygen means lots of energy, which lets it be a spender. Low oxygen means low energy, which forces it to become a saver. Hey, this isn't just some neat idea we came up with. The actual research from Long and their team absolutely nails it. They wrote that by not relying on that energy-intensive urea synthesis, the lungfish can conserve cellular energy during estivation and hypoxia. It's a calculated, biochemical choice to save fuel when things get tough.
So let's just boil it all down. The spender strategy, the one for high oxygen environments, is all about actively burning energy to pay off its toxic debt, turning poison into something safe.
And the saver strategy, for low oxygen spots, is the total opposite. It's a radical shutdown. It cuts all the metabolic spending that creates the toxins to begin with. It avoids the debt entirely.
When you step back and look at the big picture, what you're seeing is a true masterclass in survival. This isn't just one cool trick. It's an unbelievable display of metabolic flexibility, the power to completely rewire your internal chemistry to perfectly match your surroundings.
So what's in the lungfish's survival kit? Well, it's all about adaptation. It can handle toxic ammonia without being able to get rid of it. It fine-tunes its energy budget based entirely on oxygen. It chooses to convert waste when it has plenty of energy, and it slams the brakes on its metabolism when energy is scarce.
And that's really why this matters so much. This is a profound example of resource management at the most basic, cellular level. It's a living creature making the absolute best biochemical decision it can, based purely on the resources at hand. It's like a lesson in economics playing out inside the cells of a fish.
And that just leaves you with this really fascinating question, doesn't it? The lungfish only showed us these two different strategies because scientists thought to test it under two different conditions. It really makes you wonder, what other amazing survival secrets are still hidden out there in nature, just waiting for the perfect set of circumstances to be revealed?